Imagine a quiet winter forest hidden deep in northern Minnesota. Everything is silent. The trees stand frozen beneath a cold sky, far from cities and people. Endless forests stretch across the landscape. Rivers freeze solid during winter, creating one of the harshest environments in North America. Voiceover. Near the river stands a female gray wolf. Strong, intelligent, and experienced, she has spent years surviving in this challenging environment. Her eyes constantly scan the forest. Wolves rely on sharp senses to locate food, identify danger, and stay connected with members of their family. Then another wolf appears, older and more experienced. He has survived countless winters. The scars on his face tell stories of battles and challenges from the past. The two wolves greet each other with a gentle nose touch. For wolves, this simple gesture helps strengthen social bonds and maintain trust. Side by side, they watch over their territory. Wolves often form deep partnerships that can last for many years. As the seasons change, their bond remains strong. Winter gives way to spring, and life begins to return to the forest. Together they travel across meadows and forests. Their movements are perfectly coordinated, showing the strength of their partnership. Whether crossing rivers or exploring new territory, they face every challenge together. Their connection goes far beyond simple survival. Working together, the wolves become highly effective hunters. Cooperation allows wolf pairs to catch prey much larger than either could handle alone. After a successful hunt, they share the meal calmly. Scientists have observed that bonded wolves often show remarkable cooperation and mutual respect while feeding. As night falls, they rest together beneath the stars. Wolves spend much of their lives close to trusted companions, strengthening relationships through constant interaction. Season after season, year after year, their partnership continues. Every journey, every challenge, and every success becomes part of a shared life. One quiet summer morning, everything appears normal. The forest is calm, and the pair enjoys another peaceful day in their wilderness home. Not far away, a wildlife photographer watches from a safe distance. He has spent years documenting the secret lives of wolves. Looking through his lens, he captures a beautiful moment. The pair appears completely comfortable in each other's presence. The photographer smiles as he records another image. At the time, he has no idea that these photographs will later become extremely important. This story takes place in the vast wilderness of Minnesota, where thousands of wolves roam forests, wetlands, and remote river valleys. For the wolves, it seems like another ordinary day. They continue exploring their territory together, unaware that everything is about to change forever. The female wolf climbs to a high rocky ridge. From here, she can see much of her territory. Wolves often use elevated locations to monitor their surroundings and detect potential threats. Below the ridge, the male waits patiently. The pair remains aware of each other's location, maintaining constant connection even when separated by distance. Autumn spreads across the forest. Leaves change color and temperatures begin to drop. Another winter is approaching. But something unusual is developing overhead. Dark clouds gather rapidly, bringing the signs of a powerful storm. Rain begins pouring across the wilderness. Thunder rolls through the valley as visibility quickly becomes poor. During the storm, the male discovers fresh deer tracks. Following his instincts, he begins tracking potential prey deeper into the forest. Meanwhile, the female remains in another area of the territory, waiting for the storm to pass beneath the protection of towering trees. For the first time in a long while, the pair becomes separated. Neither realizes how important these next few moments will become. As the storm intensifies, another danger enters the story. Bright headlights appear along a lonely highway that cuts through the forest. Focus on the trail ahead. The male approaches the roadside. What happens next will change the course of this story forever. The male wolf begins crossing the highway. Rain reduces visibility, and the sound of the storm masks approaching danger. Without warning, bright headlights burst through the darkness. In a split second, the wolf finds himself directly in the vehicle's path. Everything seems to slow down. The storm, the rain, and the movement all freeze in a single unforgettable moment. The driver reacts immediately. Tires screech across the wet pavement as every effort is made to avoid disaster. Then suddenly, silence. The storm continues, but the forest has changed forever. The next morning arrives peacefully. The storm has passed, but its consequences remain hidden within the quiet forest. Wildlife officers arrive to investigate. Encounters between vehicles and wildlife are an unfortunate reality in many natural areas. The officers carefully document what happened. Every detail is recorded as part of ongoing wildlife monitoring efforts. For those who work closely with wildlife, moments like these are never easy. Even experienced professionals feel the weight of such losses. Far away, the female wolf continues moving through the forest. She has no way of knowing that her lifelong companion will never return. As the day continues, something feels different. The forest is familiar, yet the female senses an unusual absence. Her companion has not appeared where he normally would. She begins searching. Wolves rely heavily on scent, and she uses every scent available to locate the missing member of her pair. First, she returns to the river where they often spent time together. It was one of their favorite places within the territory. She waits patiently. Minutes pass, then hours, but the familiar figure never appears. Next, she travels to the large pine tree where they often rested. Once again, she finds herself alone. One day becomes 2. 2 days become several. Still, the female continues searching throughout the territory. Cartoon whiteboard animation. Female wolf walking along winding forest trail. Paw prints leading through woods. Educational wildlife behavior illustration. From high overlooks, she scanned the landscape. Wolves can detect movement from remarkable distances, but there is no sign of her companion. As the sun sets, the loneliness becomes more visible. For the first time in years, she faces the wilderness entirely alone. As winter slowly returns, her search continues. Weeks have passed, yet she still revisits the places that once connected them. Despite the passing weeks, the female returns to the same river once again. Researchers later discovered that this was not a random choice. She repeatedly visited locations connected to her missing companion. She also revisits the old pine tree. Many animals form strong social bonds, but scientists continue debating how deeply they experience loss when those bonds are broken. One night, she raises her head and howls into the darkness. Wolves use howls to communicate across great distances and locate members of their family groups. The sound echoes through the valley, but no answer comes back. The forest remains silent. Day after day, the same pattern continues. The female follows nearly identical routes across her territory, revisiting familiar places over and over again. Hundreds of miles away, wildlife researchers monitor GPS data collected from wolves living throughout the region. One researcher notices something unusual. One particular wolf is behaving differently from the others. The GPS map reveals a fascinating pattern. The female keeps returning to the same locations instead of exploring new areas. As more data is collected, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Her movements seem connected to memory rather than simple survival. The discovery raises an important question. Could this wolf be experiencing something similar to grief? The answer may change how we understand animal emotions forever. Determined to understand the mystery, the researcher decides to investigate in person. He travels deep into the wilderness where the female wolf lives. From a high observation point, he watches the valley below. Somewhere within this massive landscape, the female wolf continues her daily routine. After hours of observation, he finally spots her. She is traveling alone along one of the same routes identified in the GPS data. Once again, she follows a familiar trail. The route matches locations she repeatedly visited over the past several weeks. To gather more evidence, the researcher installs hidden wildlife cameras throughout the territory. These cameras operate day and night, quietly recording animal behavior without disturbing the natural environment. Soon, the cameras begin capturing something remarkable. The female repeatedly visits places connected to her missing companion. The recordings reveal a clear pattern. She returns to the same locations far more often than expected. When the footage is shared with other researchers, interest grows quickly. experts from different fields begin studying the behavior. The evidence raises a powerful question. Are animals capable of experiencing love, attachment, and grief in ways that resemble human emotions? The footage reaches research centers across the United States. Scientists begin carefully analyzing every movement, every route, and every repeated behavior shown by the female wolf. Researchers compare the wolf's behavior with observations collected from other highly social animals, including elephants, dolphins, primates, and domestic dogs. Scientists point to elephants as one example. In the wild, elephants have been observed revisiting the remains of family members years after their deaths. Some researchers believe these repeated visits suggest memory, attachment, and perhaps even forms of mourning that are still not fully understood. Dolphins provide another fascinating example. In some cases, mothers have been observed carrying deceased calves for days or even weeks. Domestic dogs also demonstrate remarkable loyalty. Many continue searching for owners long after separation, often returning to familiar locations repeatedly. Researchers return their attention to the wolf. Her behavior appears surprisingly similar to patterns observed in other socially bonded animals. Across different species, a common pattern begins to emerge. Strong social bonds may influence behavior much longer than scientists once believed. As researchers discuss the findings, interest spreads internationally. Animal behavior experts from around the world join the conversation. The debate now centers on one powerful question. Can animals truly experience love and grief, or are humans simply interpreting instinct through an emotional lens? Winter tightens its grip on the wilderness. Temperatures fall, food becomes scarce, and survival grows more difficult with each passing day. A powerful blizzard sweeps across the region. Visibility drops, and the forest disappears beneath swirling snow. Despite the harsh conditions, the female keeps moving. She follows a route she has traveled many times before. Her path leads once again toward the frozen river, the same river she has visited repeatedly since her companion disappeared. She stops and looks across the empty landscape. No movement, no familiar scent, only silence. The places remain the same, but the world around her has changed. The locations that once held companionship now hold only memories. As the camera pulls farther away, the scale of her isolation becomes clear. One small wolf stands alone within an enormous wilderness. Scientists may never know exactly what she experienced. Animal emotions remain one of the greatest mysteries in behavioral science. Yet evidence from many species continues to suggest that social bonds matter deeply. Love, attachment, loyalty, and loss may not belong exclusively to humans. Perhaps the most important lesson is not whether animals love exactly as humans do. Perhaps it is realizing that the emotional lives of animals are far richer than we once imagined. And somewhere in the frozen forests of Minnesota, one wolf may have helped us understand that truth just a little better.